So welcome to a Scrapbook Live. It's October 4th. I am Megan Jax, and we are here with a one-page layout. I'm going to convert it into two from Creative Memories. It's from the Creative Memories blog. This one was originally posted on March 22nd of 2021. Uses the Staycation collection, which you could actually still get. This is honestly, I really love the colors, the artwork of Staycation. It was kind of one of those kits that came out, or the collection was designed about all the things that we did during COVID, where you were staying at home and enjoying your home life. But the papers, the things like that, there's a lot of great things in there. So if you are newer to Creative Memories and you haven't really had a chance to go back and explore some of our older stuff that's still available, I would encourage you to check out Staycation because I do like it. I love the colors. And they're the kind of colors that really go well with my life. So if you need the printout, if you're catching this on Facebook Live right now, there's a link in the description of the event. If you're catching this later on YouTube, you'll see a link in the description below, and it'll take you to my blog where I have the handout. It's available as a PDF. You'd want to go ahead and subscribe to my blog. You'll get the in your email inbox, you will get a link to all of the Scrapbook Live events as I put them onto my blog. You'll get an email notification. It'll take you to that post where you can get the handouts. I also do include a link to the original Creative Memories blog project. And also you'll notice on the handouts, there is a QR code. That QR code will take you to the blog layout, the original one from Creative Memories. And there's also at the bottom, you'll see a hashtag. This one is Scrapbook Live 1004, and that is the hashtag you'll use if you do decide to share any layouts you create based on today's Scrapbook Live. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to my overhead camera. We're going to go ahead and get started and see what we've got going. All right, so got my handout. I've got some photos. I didn't get this organized very well. Let me see if I can bring this in a little bit better without mucking it up too much. There we go. So I am using the Fur Baby collection because I do have some photos of Kitty. Her official name is Ginger, but we call her Miss Kitty. And we put up a suet feeder on the back fence, or this is on the side fence, so she can stare out this window where she's got her little cat tree. And we were hoping for birds, but we got ourselves a squirrel. We call him Sammy. We're pretty certain it's the same squirrel that keeps showing up time after time. Sammy is definitely getting chubby. He is living large right now. I think definitely enjoying the suet feeder. The joy for that, though, is he is leaving a lot of debris on the ground that I think the birds enjoy. So regardless, this is all about Kitty and Sammy the squirrel. I do have to really quick point out this particular picture is hilarious because when he first found the suet feeder, Kitty was kind of dumb and we were trying to point dude, there's a squirrel, and she didn't care. And then she eventually did figure out that the squirrel was worth watching. So I have a total of 6 photos. They're a mixture of vertical. I have 4 vertical, 2 horizontal photos. I have trimmed these all to 4x5. I may trim them down a little bit narrower. I did print them from with my Epson PM400. These are my cell phone photos that I just printed directly to use the printer for. Works great. Printed those last night. So for my paper selection, I mentioned I am using the Fur Baby. I'm doing a whole album with a Fur Baby for Kitty right now. And it's working out really well, partially because the colors are so wonderful. You can see here, Kitty's got this beautiful tabby. I think that's a tabby coat with a lot of orange undertones to it. And there's all these beautiful, warm, wonderful colors in that Fur Baby collection. So what we have here is I am going to be using beige as my base page. There's just beige cardstock. They do want us to start with a cardstock base. You could use a tonal paper. You could use your actual Jeeped album page if you want. This page should actually come together very quickly. A little bit more of the detail for me as personally is going to be figuring out how my photos are going to go on the page, and then how I'm going to do any kind of embellishment details. You can see here we do have 2 areas where they do have embellishment clusters that are they're generously sized because the embellishments at a staycation, they had a lot. They're super fun, really cute, but it really worked well for those clusters. You could add more photos here. I'm probably going to be looking through the map pack to see, maybe I'll cut out the heart. There's some other things in here that I could work to cluster here because there was no embellishments with Fur Baby. There was the laser cut borders, and there was a few other little things in there. The cat one didn't have a whole lot of big sized pieces. So anyway, beige is my base. The green I think is going to become mattes, maybe. I'm not sure on that. I do know that my 2 colors where you see the green and the craft paper from the staycation collection, I am actually going to be using blue. This blue is actually out of the, oh, this is the cat one. I have both Fur Baby Dog and Fur Baby Cat because the Fur Baby Dog had a lot of tonal colors. Like this paper here, this stripe is out of Fur Baby Dog. The back side of it says woof woof, which is great because I don't need the woof woof, but I do like the stripe. So I am going to be making my triangles with the blue and the orange. And then I am going to be coming in and I believe I'm going to use the zigzag BMC. I'm sorry, this one's retired. It is harder to find. Maybe someday they'll bring it back as kind of one of those bring back options they've been doing over the past couple of years. I'm going to punch the zigzag with the stripe here, which is kind of going to mimic what they have here in the original example. Has that zigzag. That's a sticker out of the staycation sticker pack, but I just thought it would be good. If you don't have zigzag and you like the concept, you could use double rickrack would be an option too. I just wanted something a little bit more substantial since I'm using this striped paper, so I'm going to go with the zigzag. All right, so to get started here, what we're going to do is we have our base cardstock. That was step 1. Step 2, we need some 12 by 2 1/4 inch pieces of paper. They want us, each of those colors would be 12, the 12 by 2 1/4. So one would be in the green, which I'm going to be probably using the blue. The reason I'm going to probably where they came in here, they used 2 tonal papers. The darker of the 2 tonal papers form the outside edges, which can be nice when you're doing a border because it does feel like it frames things in a little bit. A lot of times when you do have something like the darker color, you'll want to use that on the outside edges as compared to that inside. Some of that comes down to personal choice, but it can give you that framed in feeling where this is just giving you a nice dark edge and everything else is just really framed in nicely on the layout there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim both of these pieces of paper. I'm going to go ahead. I am actually going to cut 2 rectangles of each because, like I said, I'm going to take this over into a 2-page layout. One of the things I want you to keep in mind is you need to consider the direction of your paper. The paper, we're going to cut our rectangles and then we're going to cut our rectangles on a diagonal and then split apart the triangle. So when I'm looking at this, I want to make that this is the top of my paper. And then when I put it in my trimmer, I'm going to have to rotate it 90 degrees so that when I'm cutting it, the actual top of my paper is going to be off to the left side. It might be the right side depending on how you cut, but this is the top edge of my paper. And I'm going to cut this at 2 1/4 inches. And I'm going to make 2 of these cuts. There's one. And we'll do our second one. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my blue paper. Again, my top edge is over here to the left. Always double check, especially if you find yourself using, I talked about it last week when we did the border class, and I've talked about running your finger along that outside edge, especially if you've been using your tools, like such as your border punches and whatnot with it. Sometimes just give yourself that quick, just careful, don't give yourself a paper cut, and you're just gonna run your hand along that edge, making sure you have a nice smooth edge. This is gonna be the top edge of my paper or the bottom edge, and I wanna make sure I don't have any like weird parts of it. All right, so I'm gonna cut this at 2 1/4. I just saw the brown truck drive by. I may have to check my email here in a minute and see if he dropped off my order. I ordered 2 day of the birthday promo. So I'm super excited, can't wait to get it. So we'll see, maybe he dropped it off. All right, so I have 4 pieces, 2 of each. All right, and so what I'm going to do now is I am going to work on cutting these on the angle, and this is where we want to just be careful with how we're cutting them, because how we cut them, the angle that we cut them depends on our ability to get a 2-page layout. We're going to focus on doing this page exactly, the angles, everything the exact same. I included some directions in here inside brackets. So where it says trim from corner to opposite corner, I say the sample shown is lower left to upper right. Those directions are based on looking at your rectangle in a horizontal fashion. So let me move these. So here are my 2 pieces that I am going to use for what is probably going to be, it's actually probably going to be, I think this is going to be my left page or my right page. I think my overall V is going to come down and then come back up, but you could go up and then come back down. It does, I don't think it matters when you put these together initially. We can flip sides, but for this page, I want to cut from the lower left to the upper right. And if you need to, you can either mark it with a pencil. You can take, I'm just going to really quickly cut myself some quick flags out of Post-it notes, reminding myself where I'm going to cut. Again, if you have a direction to your paper, like if you got trees or hearts or something that you want to make sure is right side up, you want to make sure the top edge is here. And so we're cutting from the lower left to the upper right. And this is for the example that's shown on your piece of paper right here. That's the one we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead, put these into my trimmer. Once I got this oriented in here, I can pull those pieces off, and I'm going to line it up with my cut line, the corner to corner. Now, when you do this part, you might want to go ahead and start in the middle and cut down, and then you can come and cut back up. My paper is sliding a little bit on this side. It doesn't, you want it to be as good as it can be, but if it's a little bit off, it's not the end of the world. You guys, I wish I could show him. My UPS guy is literally walking up with my 2-day order. I'm so excited. Maybe I'll do that at the very end of the live. I'll grab that really fast. But here is, you can see the top piece, and here is the bottom piece. Next up is going to be that orange. It's the same piece. We are cutting here from the bottom left to the upper right. I've got my Post-it note flags telling me where to cut. This time I'm going to go ahead, I've got this lined up in here. I think I'm going to cut up first. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Normally I just cut one fell swoop. There we go. Okay. So there we can see. And when we put these on, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of stack them like that. So it just really accentuates that angle. So there you can see how it's going to end up on the page. Now I need to cut the second set of the second rectangles. I'll grab my little flags again, because my next rectangles, they need to be cut in the opposite way. So this is one pair. This is going to go on one of my pages, and I want my other page to be the opposite. So if you have a pen or a pencil, what you might want to do is go ahead, and I'm going to grab a marker to show you. If you have, I would go ahead and put a rectangle on here, and I cut from the upper left or lower left to the upper right. This is page 1. Page 2, we're going to cut the opposite direction. Upper left to lower right. So this is page 2. That's going to allow us to have that opposite. It's going to be mirrored, essentially. You'll be able to mirror everything. Okay, so let me grab my pieces again. Looking at my piece here, I want to be here, my upper left to my lower right. Upper left to lower right, making sure that this is the top edge of my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a trim. You can see here how that works. That's what we're looking for. Oops. I removed my flags too soon. Upper left, lower right. Okay, now it's time to put these on our background papers. Yeah, I see a comment, Sharon. I definitely am gonna go out there and I'll go grab that. I would yell really loud and see if my husband would get it for me, but I think he's upstairs and that would be futile and he wouldn't hear me. So I think I will have it going up. So the page, the sample that is on there, you can start to see here how it's going to take shape. We have some adjustments to do to get this to work. But all in all, this is how it's going to go together. So I'm going to go ahead and start adhering these pieces into place. On my thin corners here, these points, I will definitely be using some repositionable adhesive. On the bigger pieces, I will come in with regular adhesive. But those tips, I want to make sure they stay stuck down. And I can't see the top edge of that paper, so I'm going to go ahead and just move it so that I can see it. This top piece is just going to go flush along that top edge. The next piece, again, using my repositionable on that tip, coming in with the regular adhesive. Now here is where I want to make sure when I'm putting this piece on, I actually need to make sure that this point here, as I'm putting this on, that this tip, I'm going to have, you can see how it's overhanging along this edge, and that's okay, I'll trim that off, but I want to make sure I'm flush along that angle. And this corner is just kind of going to fade. It's not going to go all the way to the edge. It would have been a whole different set of cuts if we wanted it to go all the way to the corner. That's one of the reasons that we'll have that border detail that kind of comes in there. And I'll actually come back with my scissors in a minute and cut off all that edge. We'll just keep putting these pieces into place. I'm going to admit, I have these photos. I don't know 100% where they're going to go on here. I was a little distracted last night watching the baseball games. I'm a huge Diamondbacks fan. I love baseball, and the Diamondbacks made it to the postseason. They're in the wild card race. So they had a game last night, and I was engrossed with watching it. They did win, so that's super exciting. We'll see how tonight goes. And again, I'm coming in here the same thing. I'm going to come along this edge at the bottom, so I'm flush along the edge, but I got to make sure I come all the way over so that this top peak, like here you can see, I don't have it far enough over, right? See, I need to bring it over more so that this top edge is flush. That top corner is flush with that outside edge. There we go. So this is definitely a fun technique. Gives you a great base page, a really quick way to get the kind of that big chunky chevron. I love that we can just, use, this worked really well using some tonal papers. I didn't necessarily have to worry about a pattern that had too much of a direction to it, like top or bottom. I think this blue paper actually has hearts on it, but the hearts are going both directions, so that makes it a little bit easier. Though, to be fair, it is so, they almost look like polka dots too, so I don't think, even if they had been upside down, I probably wouldn't have been too worried about it. Try to get as snug along that seam as you can. You will have a border detail. Though if you don't have a border detail, as long as you keep that nice and snug, you don't necessarily need one. So just try to keep that part of it as snug as possible. So I see Lori's comment about the Braves. And what's so funny is, so my brother was a huge Braves fan in the 90s. David Justice, Jeff Blauser, Smoltz, and it was Avery. I don't know, in the mid 90s when the Braves were like rock stars. And obviously they are doing very well right now too, but he was a huge Braves fan. And then we moved, so I liked the Braves too. And then we moved to Arizona, and the Braves kind of became that pest, right? And I still view the Braves as a bit of a pest, right? Everything for the D-backs, if we ever want to go to the World Series, always has to go through the Braves. We also have to go through the Dodgers and everything else too. And we're not going to talk about the Dodgers, Brenda, okay? But yeah, just huge baseball fan. I'm over here putting the wrong adhesive. Grab the wrong one. We'll tuck it under there and be okay. I have not made it to a baseball game this year, and I probably won't. Unfortunately, the Mariners were knocked out of postseason. But next year, hoping to make it to a D-backs game. I think they will play in Seattle next year. Putting this last piece on, again, keeping that flush along the edge where they meet. That corner up there matches up. Just get it laid on there. And now it's time, well, here you go. Now you can see. Now it's time I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors, and I'm just going to use the scissors to snip this off. If I just flip over to the back side, I can see where that is, and just give that a quick trim. You could use your trimmer if you wanted to, but in this case, I am just going to use my scissors. And then truly we have our background all set to go. I mean, I've got to punch 4 borders. The sample uses stickers, but of course when you need 4 of them, that's like 2 packs of stickers. Or you could, our perpetual border making system where you can just punch all the borders you want. So here you can see where I have the overall chevron pattern is going upwards, which is really exciting. The other option could be where it's coming downward. All right, so I can kind of maybe play around with this a little bit to see which one. I kind of like the downward, but sometimes with the downward, think about where your embellishments are going to go. And it's just a different look. My embellishments would probably go more up in these corners. Maybe it depends on how I get my all this stuff going here. So before I go too much further though, I am going to go ahead and punch my borders. I have the striped paper. And I have my border maker system. I'm going to punch 1 to start off with and make sure I like it, because obviously that's a huge consideration. I want to make sure that I like oh yeah, I think that's going to work out really well. It's maybe a little bit crazy when you see it far away like that, but here you can see it a little bit closer. I think it does. You can see all those colors. That pale pink is really hard to see on camera, so it just kind of looks a little like there's just a bunch of white space there, but it looks really good. So I'm going to punch 3 more of those. And I'll go ahead and put those in place, and then we will start playing with the photos a little bit to see how that's all going to go down. Definitely take your time when you're using the designer paper and the border maker system. Because the paper is not as stiff, sometimes it does have a tendency to get caught up as you're sliding down. That's why pulling straight out can be really helpful. If you see that you have these kind of things, which is normal, this type of thin strip is very normal to get, but this is the piece that sometimes can get kind of caught up in there. And so you do just have to be careful, because what it can do is it can get caught up and then just kind of pull other pieces. So just take your time. Like I said, especially with the designer paper, you don't have endless supply of the designer paper. So every time you mess up a cut or a punch, you get like, oh, that's a whole strip that I've just wasted. I don't feel so heartbroken when it's cardstock. Oops. Okay, there we go. Clean up my space just a little bit there. And I'm going to go ahead and get these pieces put on. Use repositionable adhesive on the back side. And I kind of have to make my decision how this is going to sit in there. I'm probably going to end up having to cut off some where it overhangs here at the bottom, and that's going to be okay. The other thing is whether or not I wanted to go all the way to this middle bit, because obviously my piece is 12 inches, and anytime you start to angle that 12 inches, you start to lose your width. You can see here, obviously, the steeper I turn it, the less it doesn't cover the whole width. This angle is not too bad. I have about 1/4 of an inch that is not covered. I could punch another little piece if I wanted to fill it in, if I didn't want any kind of gaps. The other option, if you are working with stickers and you don't want a gap, especially if you go on a steeper angle and you have a bigger gap, is if you know you're going to have something that covers up in the middle, you can cut your piece and separate it. That works really well when you've got stickers and you don't have like a ton of stickers to just keep pulling from. All right, so now I've got my borders in place. So now it's time to think about location of my photos. I will probably mat all of my photos, but until I get them spaced and I've got it figured out exactly how I'm going to do the sizing, I'm not going to worry about cutting mat. So I know I wanted to have this picture first where literally just ignoring the squirrel. And we want to show off how adorable that squirrel is. He just literally, he hangs on by his little toes on the top of the fence. And there, she's mildly interested. I do have these horizontal photos, and so I feel like trying to work those in, and then maybe I'll come over and have like such. Now, none of these overlap. And so I feel kind of a little bit like, well, maybe these shouldn't overlap. I can narrow these in. I have room to cut these down and make them a little bit narrower so they won't overlap. Or I can come in over here and have these overlap. I can also rebalance it. I can come in and move some of these photos so that you're not I don't necessarily have to stay on the angle. I can figure this. I really wish I had been able, oh, these are all going to be very similar. So maybe we'll do this. Yeah, this is, I see Anna has a comment saying she likes the first one. I do like the first one as well. I think it was a little bit more balanced. So we'll come in here. We'll tell the story a little bit differently. I'll narrow those down. The other option, really quick, let me make one little adjustment. I might keep the same orientation, but I'm going to come over here and adjust my photos. So we'll go upward with everything. And I'll probably, I think, crop those down just a little bit. And then we have these photos and then come over here. What do you guys think of that one? Going up versus the coming down. Are there any preferences? Have a little bit of a delay, so I have to wait for you guys. And it's like, no. Oh, the Lori's like, yes. Oh, now I wish they had. Facebook really needs to have like this voting thing where you can like do the other way, almost like how in Zoom you can do the voting. So I think probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop these photos to go in so they can come in. I think what I'm going to do is, since I can't overlap on this page because it starts to get like a little too, I would either need to go see if I can find another photo or whatnot. I think spacing wise, keeping them from overlapping is great. It's fine. Works out just fine. I can maybe use a little bit chunkier mat on this one if I want, or I could, I don't know. I'm going to trim these down just a little bit narrower on this side. Right now, these are all 4x5s. I'm going to come in on this one is, I'll come in and go ahead and just trim it down so it's maybe a little bit closer to 3 3/4. I'll start off with that, the 3 3/4, and see if that gives me enough spacing so that they, well, I probably have to go even narrower than that because I am going to have to mat these. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and come down to 3 1/2. I think initially if I were to do this layout as one, I thought about doing just one layout. One side was going to be Kitty meeting Sammy the squirrel, because that's what we call him, Sammy the squirrel. And the other side being some other mischievous thing, trouble that she's gotten into. But this worked out just fine doing it this way. I'm trimming 1/4 inch off of each side of these pictures that are on the left page. I'm a little bit tight on this one, but I think it's going to work out. So these will fit on here like as such, but they will have mats. I'm going to use green mats on these. And really quick, I am going to see this is the avocado, which I think is just a little too intense. That was the moss or the meadow. And then the other option is for me is to use olive. And I do like the olive, but I'm really selective. I don't have a lot of that olive left. And so I probably will go ahead and just use the mats, the green out of the Fur Baby pack, which is, it's the Meow color. And I think I should be able to get it to work. These prints are 3 1/2 wide by 5 tall. So if they're 3 1/2, I do not want to do 4 inches wide. I should be able to get all my mats out of one piece of the green. So I want my mats, I'm going to go ahead. The mats on these pieces are going to be 3 3/4 wide by 5 1/4 tall. So it's going to be a 1/8 inch mat all the way around. That's one of the things for me why I try to cut my photos to sizes which are very 4 by 5, 3 1/2 by 5. That makes it easier for me to cut mats. Rather than, just willy-nilly cutting. So now this side here, this mat, I also need to get one of these mats out of. So what this last piece here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and cut it to 4 inches wide I'll cut this piece down to 5 1/4. This piece, then I'm going to bring it back and trim it to 4 or 3 3/4. That just gives me the ability to get 3 mats. These pieces are at least 4 inches wide. I will come in and trim down probably, I'll probably trim this photo down and get it to fit with that thinner mat. We'll take a look at it in a second. So I will admit this layout I didn't quite have as worked through as I normally try to with the Scrapbook Live stuff. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing for embellishments. I picked out, oh my gosh, I'm putting this on the wrong side. Not that I don't like that pretty pink color. It's kind of a blushy pink. I want it to be the green. If I really needed to, if I was concerned about having some more of this green, I could come in and use my custom cutting system and cut out maybe some ovals or circles from the middle. I could also punch. I could come in here and alter things a little bit. I do want to do some journaling in here, and that may actually be what I do, is instead of just staggering them up, I'm going to come in like such. I've got a little bit more space here now to have, I want to journal, you know, just because it's so adorable how she is with that silly, squirrel out there. I'm going to leave this picture a little bit chunky because I got a bigger space over here. So what I will do is I'm going to use this bigger piece of mat for it. Actually, what I might do, sometimes I forget I have mat packs, and I could come back, because this is 4 inches wide, I could come back to one of my bigger 4.5 by 6.5 inch mats. I've got this big stripe piece. I've got a darker color. I need to make sure I find ones that are solid. Like this one wouldn't work because if I put it on there, you can see down here, I've got a lot of open space, but here is the version of it that is solid that I could use if I wanted to come in with some brown, if I wanted to make it look a little bit different. But what I like is it does give more substance on that side. So I might do that if I can find one that I like. I think I already used the one that's the full polka dots, or I could use just another color. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to mat these 2 photos, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim these down. I'm going to take off, well, I don't necessarily need to. I think I'll leave them. They're 4 by 5. So I overall want this piece to be a 4 1/4, which it should be close. Yeah, it's already at 4 1/4. And then it'll be 5 1/4. 2 mats that are 5 1/4. So sorry, I'm kind of working through this out loud. Five 1/4. Does leave me a little bit trying to figure out what I want to do here. If I want to do something, I agree the green would be really nice just to keep it balanced. There is a green stripe that if I wanted to come in, it's still the green. I might just keep still like that. It's hard, I think, until I have all of my pieces. Like if I am going to come in and do some, if I wanted to put a journal box over here, it does feel a little bit, oh, how would you say? unbalanced because there's such a spacing here. So that's a little bit to something to keep into consideration. I've got some options if I want to come in for a little journaling box, something like that would work. There's little titles. They've got some really, really, really cute titles. Trying to figure if there's one that would work the best for this particular situation where she's literally got a squirrel. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I have last year's Croptoberfest. All right. So let me see. I know there's some squirrel stuff in here, obviously, from the squirrels last year. And I thought, there we go. We've got ourselves a little squirrel. We got a blue squirrel too, though he's a little too purpley maybe. And there are some pretty leaves and things in here that might also work well. A little nutty. How cute would that be, right? That actually still fits in with the colors. I mean, the squirrel's not eating a nut, it's eating suet. We don't have any trees that produce nuts right around here, so that poor squirrel has to survive on other things. It's getting fatter. We swear that squirrel is getting fatter. So he's definitely doing okay. We have coyotes and hawks and owls and whatnot, and a few neighborhood cats. Kitty does not go outside. Oh, just a quick update. I should tell you guys. So Kitty is now almost 7 months old. She's like approaching 11 pounds. She is a Maine Coon, so she's going to get big. But we look at this girl and we're like, oh, honey, you're just getting so chubby. She's adorable though. She runs around, loves her toys. I like the direction this is going. I think the squirrel is going to need something to kind of seat him. So I just have to figure out what that's going to be. Like something here. If I wanted to stick with the circle thing, I could come in and put this, that might actually work really well. I think I'll do that. So coming in here for this piece, I think I can use the custom cutting system and cut this mat out. So let's we're going to go ahead and give that a whirl. It would be this is circle number 1 out of the custom cutting system. So I'm going to put it in here and I'm going to center it as best I can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I think it's going to have to be my green blade. I don't think I can use my blue blade, but I'm going to double check it. I'm going to go ahead, turn this to the side and look, and I actually might be able to get my blue blade in there. Green doesn't give me a whole lot of the actual green itself showing. The question is, yep, the blue blade will work. The reason the blue blade works is because this is a larger mat to begin with. I do agree. So Sherry made the comment, it'd be nice if the squirrel was facing the layout. I agree with you. It would be great if he was. My option to do that is I'm going to have to relocate him to the other page. He could come over here on this side, and that might actually be super cute too, is to put him over here. Have a little cluster of stuff. Maybe there. I could still use this here. I don't need mushrooms. This is kind of, like I said, if I had just planned things a little bit more. Or the option is just to come in here like such. I do wish my squirrel was facing the other way. Unfortunately, if I flip him over, he's just white. You can't see. He also needs to be sitting on something. He definitely needs to feel like he's sitting. Okay, so work with me. Imagine this with me a little bit, okay? So I do have, it says a little nutty here, and I could move this over. I need to look in my stickers. So the stickers for Croptoberfest has a blue acorn, which I think I would actually tuck in here so that I have the green and the blue would work really well. What I'm thinking is that I can come in here and with my brown sans serif letters is I could come in and have just a short little title. I don't have a lot of room here, so it's got to be something relatively short. A little nutty, I may have been able to get that fit, but it's going to have to be, you know, like, I don't even know what. Then something along those lines. This just comes over here. I could put a little bit of a journaling block there if I wanted to. But I think that's the direction I'm going to go with this. It feels, oh nuts, perfect. At least that is perfect. Oh nuts. I like that. Just going to say oh nuts. And then I can have little spots that I can journal. Like I'll have a little thing here, you know, just a little blurb that says completely ignoring. You know, the squirrel, he's comfortable. He feels no fear at all. And just kind of telling that little bit of a story, coming over here to the other side. I might still work a little bit and see whatever else I can find that would come over here to this side. There are some additional little leaf details that might work. There's a blue squirrel, but he's not quite the right color blue. He's a little bit more purple. So that's not probably going to work, but there are some other little details. Oh, here's another cute little, oh, here's a little, it's a little more purpley acorn. The colors of the Croptoberfest were a little more plum burgundy rather than the more the orange or the, I don't know. It's not that burgundy doesn't match, it's just not anywhere else in the layout. So, yeah, I think that's actually going to be pretty solid here. I'll come in with the O nuts. Balances out. I think once I add the journaling, it'll feel a little bit more balanced. It'll take up some of that empty space in the beige. But that came together, I think, pretty well. So I appreciate you guys talking through that or letting me talk through that. I'll finish all of that up, get it photographed, and have it ready for you guys to be able to see. If you guys hold on for 2 seconds, I'm going to take off my microphone. I'm going to go to my front door and I'm going to see if that's truly my package out there. So I do see a quick comment. What if the picture's on the... So Joyce is asking about if basically, I think, to swap things around a little bit. Right now, this is kind of how the story goes, where the squirrel first showed up and she ignored it, and it kind of just tells the story over to this direction. So that's kind of why I've got this going that way. So for now, that's, I think, how I'm going to go. I may come back to it. I'm totally mentally distracted by this stuff that is sitting out in my front door. So hold on 2 seconds. I'm going to go grab that. Okay, I am back. Let me just grab these and just carefully stack them for the moment. I will come back to those. And here you can see is my package. So I'm going to go ahead, open it up, and we will take a quick peek. So this is a very impromptu unboxing as well. That's very, I don't know, kind of fun. Okay, so let me show you what's all in here. So first, you know, it's the new products, the new Christmas collection. There's the ornaments punch. Remember, this is currently part of the bundle, but we'll be able to get it individually in November. And then the cute little Santa embellishments that are part of the bundle as well. These are only available in the bundle. So if you want these, you're going to have to order the bundle. The Nutcracker punch. There are some beautiful layered embellishments. These layer with each other. So wonderful. I do see a question from Elise wondering how I got it so fast. I ordered second day air from Creative Memories. So I paid the extra to have it shipped to me quickly, or so it's second day aired. That's why I got it so fast. The other orders should be shipping out. The way they process the orders, 2-day orders generally get processed bumped a little bit to the head of the line, plus you get 2-day shipping. It's not always guaranteed. I've had 2-day shipping where they don't actually ship it till Tuesday, so I don't get it till Thursday. But this time it actually did go out on the same day. Then there's the mats. I know, you guys are like, wait a minute, where's the paper packs, Christmas cheers, the designer, and the stickers. But that's really not what we're here for, right? We're here for the free stuff, the cute stuff. Oh, there was the Border Maker cartridge, which I am really excited about. Candy Cane Stripe is the official name of it. So just when you're referring to it, because we did have a candy cane chain, you'll want to make sure you use the Candy Cane Stripe as your name. But I think it's an edge style, or should be a knockout style. Yes, it's a knockout style, which is fantastic because then it's not going to alter your outside edge and it's going to stay attached to your paper. So all those fun things that we've been doing with folding and punching and whatnot, you'll be able to do with the Candy Cane Stripes. That's going to be, I think, a really popular, lots of fun, a lot of uses even outside of Christmas. But this is what we're super excited about, right? A new sketchbook and the keychain. So my keychain obviously came kind of undone in the shipping from just for the packaging. The keychain itself is fine. It's the packaging. I'm sure at one point it was attached up here nicely. But here's the keychain, the color wheel, super cute. I know Noreen showed them all to you, but I'm super excited about that. So that's going to be really fun to use. And then the sketchbook. Wonderful. They have all of those measurements in there. And I know some of these we've probably put together before as part of Scrapbook Live. But there's some great ones in here. Be able to, it'll be just great. Here's one I know we've put together, that one in Scrapbook Live. That was one of the first ones that we did. So there's some great options in here for you to go back through. And as you're seeing with Scrapbook Live, when you look at this stuff, really pay attention to the sketch. Maybe your eye is caught down here on the layout itself, but then go back up to the sketch and you can start to envision it in other collections. So there's so many great things in here that are just amazing. We've done that one as part of Scrapbook Live before. I see lots of ones that maybe we'll have to start using this for some. It's a great quick way to find some ones to do. So anyway, there's the fun new products. I am so interested in this. I see a question from Kim. Yeah, Kim, I'm going to be sending out an email about ordering for November. So Kim is attending one of my crop locally here in Seattle, and that's the first weekend in November. And so if you're coming to my crop, or there's still space, so if you're anywhere near Seattle and want to come to a crop at the beginning of November, you're more than welcome to. You can even fly in. We have some people coming in from out of state. I will have ordering where I will have it all ready for you. So I'll be sending out that information. So here we have the embellishments. So these are kind of like what maybe would be the top layers of your ornament embellishments. They could be used just by themselves though. They wouldn't necessarily have to be the top layers. And then we have some base layers. Also, they could be used by themselves. But these are going to be really pretty. So here we can see we've got this beautiful golden, and then we could come in here with this layered piece, the top piece, and they get layered, and you can mix and match. So there are some options. And then there's, multiple colors here where you can do a beautiful tonal blue one. So those are going to be a lot of fun. The paper is beautiful. It's got a lot of plaids. And then this is nice because you have a lot of these blue plaids over here in the Christmas cheer accessory paper pack. And then you have the Christmas cheer paper, which has more of your reds, greens, and golds. And then it coordinates really nicely with the blues, reds, and greens of the accessory paper pack. So I don't necessarily want to jump too much into going through all that. I do see a question asking how large these are. So let me grab a ruler and we'll take a peek. They are about 1 3/4 inches so this circle is 1 3/4 inch wide by about 2 1/4. So they're pretty substantial size. They are not small. I can find a piece of paper here that is going to give you a better, this is probably not the best color of paper to use, it's just some brown, but you can see here on a 12 by 12, they're pretty decent size. A 4 by 6 photo, this is a 4 by 6 photo. So they are going to be a nice presence on your page, and so many options to be able to mix and match the pieces. So yeah, lots of possibilities for those layered ornaments. All right. So I think that is going to be wrapping up Scrapbook Live for today. I'm so glad you guys could join me. The Christmas cheer collection looks great. I'm very, very excited about the birthday goodies. So that's that promotion I think is going on through the end of this week, I believe. However, it's while supplies last. So if you looked at that, any of the stuff I just showed you, you might want to jump sooner than later on getting that ordered. The Christmas cheer bundle has the little, I should have showed you the little Santa embellishments, all sorts of cute Santas in there and whatnot. And then this is only available as part of that bundle. This will not be available anytime else outside of this bundle. The ornament punch, you can get it first as part of the bundle. And this is a build and ornament punch. Like we have the build and owl. This is like the build and ornament. You will definitely want some of the adhesive dot pen, or the adhesive pen works really good for this, for these build-a-punches. And this is available with the Christmas cheer bundle. But if you don't need that bundle, or you just want the punch or whatever, this November this will be available by itself in November. So those are kind of just a quick product overview of what's going on. If you have any questions about the products or anything like that, send me a message. I really appreciate, I've had so many of my customers have ordered. Thank you so much. It means so much to me in so many ways. You guys would just, the wonderful support that I've had for my business, for you guys that come out to watch Scrapbook Live. I definitely appreciate that. So we'll be back next week with another Scrapbook Live. Next week is the virtual crop from Create Immerse. So next Friday is virtual crop. Let's see, Tessa and I are going to have a beginner class on Tuesday during the day, and then Power Hour is the 17th in the evening. We are working on a Christmas cheer class. I believe that's going to be in November. Tessa and I are still trying to kind of confirm what products specifically we're going to use. I mean, we know it would be the Christmas cheer bundle, but we want to make sure that we're, telling you specifically. Now that I've got it in my hands, I can make a better informed decision on what I think we'll do with it. But I think what we're doing is it's going to be a page makers class, but we're going to also add in some like 6 or so cards / tags. So a little more like a Christmas workshop, where we'll just make a little bit of additional stuff with the Christmas cheer collection, especially since we have some of these wonderful additional details that we'll be able to make things like that. Like the Build-A-Punches are great because you just punch scraps and all of a sudden you have all this ability to make these cute embellishments for your Christmas cards, Christmas layouts, and Christmas projects. All right, so that's all I have for you guys this week. I'm going to finish up the details there. We'll see for sure what I end up with on that final layout. I might, I think I'm going to go with what I've got, but I might make some additional changes. I never know. So thanks for joining me. I will see you guys next week. All right, take care. Have a fantastic rest of your week and enjoy the weekend.